And then good morning if you're listening to the recording. And then my intention for today is to share just my experience with MetaPWR, share my understanding of MetaPWR. I am not intending for this to be a science-driven thing. If you're interested in learning more of the actual science on MetaPWR, if you go to training.doterra.com, it's very thorough. It goes through more of the science. I think it is extremely valuable information. And after listening to that, I think like this for me is a combination of how I understand it after listening to that, after going to convention and then just doing my own reading on things. So that's kind of where I was thinking today. And then I know many of us that are on the call are using MetaPWR already. And I think it's helpful to hear other people's experiences because everyone has a different one. So if you're already taking MetaPWR, it would be awesome if you shared as well. But I did make a PowerPoint. I wasn't going to do a PowerPoint because I want it to be conversational, but I do feel like sometimes it's nice to have a visual as we talk about things. So I am going to share my screen and share that part with everyone. Maybe I can get technology to, here we go. So MetaPWR, for those of you that are on live, are you all taking it already or some not yet? Not yet. Okay, cool. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, so I think all of you already know me, but I'll just share a little bit about how my journey with wellness has shifted. I think that kind of sets the stage of what we're going to talk about today. When I first was introduced to doTERRA, I was working as a speech pathologist and really working in the mindset of pushing my body to the extreme. I was working 70 to 80 hours a week trying to pay off debt that I had consumed during or created during grad school. And really, I ran a marathon at that point in my life. So I'm going to use air quotes, healthy, but I didn't have a healthy mindset in regards to my body. It was pushing my body to the extremes and not taking care of it. And then I was introduced to doTERRA. Actually, another speech pathologist was having a workshop, and I didn't really know anything about essential oils or any holistic things at that point in my time or in that point in my life. And then I started using essential oils specific to hormonal imbalances that I had, digestive issues that I had. I had my thyroid removed at 21, so I was focusing on helping out in that area. And I just started to see this shift. And then fast forward 2 years later, I decided to do this and educate on essential oils full time because I just saw such a transition in how I felt and experienced my body and was excited to share that with others. And so that kind of has catapulted or been the catalyst into viewing and shifting my relationship with my body. And now I feel like how I view it is it's not about weight loss or running because I want to lose weight. It's about really focusing on nourishing my body and doing things because I want to nourish it rather than punish it. I want to take supplements because I want to be able to hang out with my great grandkids and get on the floor at that stage in my life. Like I want to do things now that for the lifelong vitality. And so that I think wove in MetaPWR very seamlessly. And so I wanted to share a little bit about that. So we'll talk about my experiences and if we can all share our own experiences that for those of you that have taken it, and we'll go over some other things. That's my husband and my two kids. Okay, so I'm going to start with I just saw that that's my next slide and I wanted to talk about this first. So having said all of that, yes, I have before and after pictures, but for me, I don't want to at all present MetaPWR as being a weight loss thing. But yes, it did create weight loss in my life, and I'm grateful for that. I want to talk about MetaPWR today as what it can do on the inside of our body and how it's so helpful for our cells. And for some people, yes, there is weight loss associated to it. But what I wanted to show, so here's my before and after after 3 months. And so if we were to say, like I put on here, a picture speaks 1,000 words, because if I share this, like what I see is a lot of inflammation in my body. Like if I look at my face pictures too, like it's just a shift of pulling out inflammation. And so I want to talk about this, but anyways, so that just kind of, I think, speaks to the reduced inflammation and how things changed on a cellular level in the beginning. But I want to talk about this as kind of like to piggyback this whole thought process is we can fuel things. So hold on, there's a background noise. I just want to mute so we can all. Well, hi, I didn't notice that more people jumped on. Hi, I just was going to mute. Good morning. So what I think is so helpful here to look at is this is, as I talk about how my mindset around health and wellness has shifted over the years. Now I view our body and our life as an energetic field. And so we have low energetic experiences and high energetic experiences. Low energetic experiences, an easy way to talk about that would be grief or shame. If you think about after you've lost a loved one, how low energy, lethargic your body feels in that moment. You want to curl up in bed versus landing your dream job or finding your ideal partner or just like love and connection. You can think about in those experiences how you have so much high energy in the body. Well, there's also other things that we can do to nourish our body to create either a higher energetic experience or a lower energetic experience. And so I put some examples of things that are in my mind of ways that we can create either a higher energetic experience, which is creating ease in our body, or a lower energetic experience, which is the opposite of ease. So I put dis-ease, which is kind of a play on words there to see, but it just shows like when we're in such a low energy state, our body really has to struggle to stay healthy. And so oftentimes other things come up. So what you'll see on this, the ease is whole food, eating whole foods, taking high quality supplements, active lifestyle, financial freedom, a clean and clear environment that's specific to clutter, but also to the toxins and things that we're exposed to when in our cleaning products and air fresheners and all of that. Healthy relationships, emotional healing, positive self-talk, proactive lifestyle, and high quality essential oils. And I want to just talk about the positive self-talk because I think that's also in regards to MetaPWR and shifting our relationship with our body. This, yes, can be for weight loss, but what if we started and got into routines that promote weight loss? Yes, but it's all about I'm doing this to take care of my body rather than to lose weight because there's something that I have to do to make my body different. Like what if it was instead I'm doing this because I want to nourish my body? So those are just things that come to my mind when it comes to ease. And then over here, lower quality or lower dis-ease or lower energetic would be processed foods, low quality or no supplementation, sedentary lifestyle, debt, chemical cleaners, beauty products, cluttered environment, unhealthy relationship, unhealed trauma, low quality self-talk, over-the-counter essential oils, synthetic prescriptions, reactive lifestyle, and self-sabotaging behaviors. So that's just, I think, again, creating a foundation of what I wanted to talk about today. But does anyone have any thoughts or questions or things that you wanted to piggyback in on this? I'd love for this to be a very engaged workshop today where we all talk about different things. So does anyone want to share anything regarding this? Does this make sense?
It all makes sense.
Okay, let's see, there's a chat. Brain fog, yeah, yep, that can come down here on this lower state. And there's a lot that can go into disease, and I'm gonna make myself not go on a tangent that I want to go on, but maybe if we have time at the end, we will. Okay, so this, yes, we're talking about MetaPWR, and MetaPWR is very much focusing on the metabolism. But I wanted to share this of having high quality supplementation. I talked about that as being an easy way to raise the energetic experience that we have in our body. What I love about doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack is that it has each of the components that can raise the energetic experience in our body. So there's whole food supplementation, which there's a little statistic here, which is really interesting. If we were to eat one apple today, it would be the equivalent of, or I'm sorry, one apple in the 1950s would be the equivalent of 100 apples nutritionally for us today. And you can look that up, but it's interesting because we have depleted the supplement or the nutrients in our soil from mass production. And so I love this concept of taking a whole food supplement. And that just whole food means when we look at supplementation, and I didn't know this in the very beginning. And so I want to share it because I used to take supplements, but didn't really notice a difference. Well, you can have a synthetic derived vitamin A, B, or you can have a whole food derived supplement. And when we have whole food, it goes into our body and our body knows what to do with it, versus if it's synthetic created, it goes into our body and it doesn't really know what to do with it. And it can almost create like a toxic response in the body. So that's the microplex. So this would be like, you'll see the ingredients in here: kale, dandelion, parsley, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, spinach. And then there's omegas. Omegas are great for brain health, for cardiovascular support, women with hormonal issues. That was a big thing when I started focusing on my thyroid, is omegas, a high quality omega. And then so skin, hair, omegas is that. And again, quality of fish oil, because oftentimes the fish that comes in fish oil has been harvested from a polluted water source. And so that's a really important thing. And then there's clove, frankincense, thyme. There's essential oils in the omegas as well, which help with. Clove is listed highest on the ORAC score, which is your antioxidants. Frankincense is really good for cellular health. And then I jokingly call alpha CRS the can't remember shit pill because it's great for brain support. And it's also great for just cellular repair, helping the healthy cells to keep replicating and stopping the duplication of the unhealthy cells. So anyways, I wanted to share that because MetaPWR is amazing. And I think it's even better when we pair it with a supplementation so that we can really give our body the nutrients that it needs and the support. So any questions or anything that anyone wants to share about lifelong vitality and a testimony maybe?
I have a question, Katrina. Is the microplex meant to be like the equivalent of a multivitamin or something like something?
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Yeah. So this would be like your multivitamin, your omega, and then this would be like CoQ10. You can see up here, there's frankincense, turmeric, like anti-inflammatory type. Yeah.
Okay. And are they meant?
Usually people take all three, like it comes in a box.
Right. So they're meant to work synergistically.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
For me, yeah, you're welcome. For me, what I noticed when I first, so I mentioned in the very beginning, and I am going to try to stay compliant because I'm recording this and I don't want to get in trouble. But for me, if you can read between the lines, I had really significant digestive issues to the point of frequent use of the bathroom. I had hormonal issues to the point where when it was that time of the month, I would have to leave work because I was in so much pain. And then because I had 3/4 of my thyroid removed, my brain fog was very significant. And so for me, in my experience of taking, once I started getting supplements in my body, it was almost like remember I said in the beginning, for me, I was pushing my body to the extremes, but not refueling it. And so I just noticed such a shift from taking. So I love them. All right, let's start talking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say I've been taking them for years. And last week, I was a very bad girl. I missed a couple days. And one thing that I noticed was I started to ache. I'm 68 years, well, going to be 68 years old. And my muscles started to ache. And when I take them, I don't have any problem. And I also, I just love them, and I can't say enough good about them. So I just wanted to say that I don't know how many years, but I've been taking them quite a while.
Yeah, I would say probably 5 or 6, right? It's
longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
I just have one more quick question because we're all women here and we tend probably to women probably gravitate to this more. I have a husband who's limping around right now with what's becoming a chronic knee inflammation that we're exploring whether it's Lyme related, and I'm going to work with him on my tools. But I'm curious, like, is it male, female? Is dosing, specific to, like, what do you have to share about that?
Yeah, great. This is a great talking point. Yes, they're intended for men and women. So like if you needed additional things for as a woman, there's additional supplements that I add in, and we can talk about that. But specifically to answer your question in regards to men, the dosing of this is for the average size American. So what I tell more petite women is cut the dosing in half, because if we start with half of a dose, then we can pay attention to how our body feels and then just listen to your body. If you're noticing that you have the energy, awesome. If not, my husband is 6'8" and he takes the full dose, and we have many joking sayings in our house about like, oh, back on the vitamins, bath trips to the bathroom are really nice. Like it just makes everything function better. But so full dose, I think for the standard size man is a good idea. And I think that's like the alpha CRS, where that comes into play with the joint thing. When you order the Lifelong Vitality, there's also a drop down. You can customize it, and there's different supplements that you can add in that are discounted. There's something called deep blue polyphenols, which is for the pain. I don't know if you've already tried that, but that could be something else that if, like, I would just say start with this and see, and then if you need something additional, those deep blue polyphenols might be another.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, and maybe Joanne and Connie, you two can connect, because Connie has done a lot around using oils for Lyme. So maybe that's a extra conversation. Cool. All right. Any other questions on the Lifelong Vitality? Okay. So this is the MetaPWR kit for those of you that haven't already started taking it. And so there's a different, if you were to start with the entire MetaPWR line, this is everything. So there is MetaPWR Assist and the MetaPWR soft gels. I'm going to talk about them specific, like each. MetaPWR, this is a collagen and NMN supplement. There's an oil, beadlets, and gum. So before we dive into each of the parts, I want to, again, just share how I understand MetaPWR. And for those of you that are already taking MetaPWR and have done your own research, share how you understand it, because it's in depth and I'm not a scientist. So my understanding is there's two parts to this. The main focus is to support healthy glucose response in the body and to help with blood sugar spikes. And what I understand now is the more frequently that our blood sugar spikes, the more frequently we are aging our cells. And so the goal would be to reduce the blood sugar spikes, to reduce the cellular aging process, part one. The other part that I understand is that our body has NAD+, which is like the vitality of the cells. And they're now finding that they can draw blood work and see, based on the amount and the levels of NAD+, there you can see when the body is expected to basically not have life in the cells, to put that as a gentle way, like based on the levels of NAD+. And that is something like our body naturally creates it, but then as we age, it slows down how much it's creating it. And so now there's really great podcasts. David Sinclair would be the person to listen to, and he has a whole bunch of podcasts on NAD+ and NMN. So NMN is the supplement that can be brought into the body and then helps the body convert that to NAD+ to basically promote the cellular vitality in the body. So taking an NMN supplement gives your body NAD+, basically, which can beef up the NAD levels in the cells so that we don't age our cells as quickly. So we have the blood sugar part, and then we have the NMN part. Does that make sense? And also, does anybody want to chime into how you understand it if there's something different?
I've been doing. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I just wanted to add and maybe you were going to go into this, as far as the glucose levels in the body, it has been proven that if your glucose levels aren't good, you're more likely to develop cancer. And there's some research out there related to Alzheimer's, but that's new research, and I'm not so sure that it's confirmed. But sugar levels going up and down is not good for anything. And it really has shown there's been a lot of research about cancer with that. So I just wanted to add that in, Katrina. I hope you don't mind.
I love it. I love that. Thank you for adding that in. And I think that like just our inflammatory response. There's all sorts of stuff that comes into play with sugar. Yeah. What, Liz, were you going to share too?
I was just going to share on the NAD plus and the NADH, which you were talking about how we have certain levels of that in our body that decrease over time, just like collagen. We don't produce as much collagen over time. But what I was learning recently, and I think this is how I understand it, is that the NMN is like the precursor to those two other factors, that NAD, am I saying that right? NAD plus and NADH. Yes. Yeah, there's two of them. And those levels, that substance in our body allows our cells to duplicate. So life ceases to exist when our cells can no longer multiply and duplicate. So that's how I think of it, is we just have we have a well of this in our body, and it depletes over time. And this is a way for our body to make more. But yeah, and you're right. It's a 2-factor system. Like, we're focusing on blood sugar health because it causes free radicals, which can lead down the cancer path. It's not just like, I need to balance my blood sugar because I'm pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Right.
Blood sugar balance is for everybody. Those things don't just happen overnight. That's like, we're working on that right now, managing our insulin levels.
And I think and that's where I started off of, like, I don't want this to be about weight loss, because that's the thing, is like, okay, let's say a person is like, I don't need to lose weight. Well, that's all fine and well, but you still want to look at MetaPWR, because you still want to, like, I didn't realize how often women can have insulin resistance. And I start taking NMN, and all of a sudden I dropped 12 pounds. Like, it was easy. And I have struggled to have the same weight that I had before I had 2 kids. Like, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then I was talking to my chiropractor, and he's like, oh yeah, lots of women have insulin resistance. Like, it's pretty common. I'm like, jeepers. Like,
yeah, it's a big problem. And doTERRA is all about getting down to the foundational, like, what's the precursor to all other disease. And this is, well, weight loss is what we see on the surface. It's just the tip of the iceberg of what's going on underneath. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I like to tell people, I know this has to be compliant, but this has nothing to do with oils, really. Glucose dysregulation is the leading cause of polycystic ovarian syndrome. And people are going to their gynecologist, like, what's wrong with me? How do I fix this? And it's really a blood sugar management issue. So that drives me crazy.
I love that you said that. And that is one of the things that when I was talking about, like, hormonal imbalances, I went to our panel just changed. We have somebody else jumping on. Hi, Britt. The response when I was experiencing those hormonal things was, we'll just put you on a birth control. Never once was there discussion of sugar. How much sugar are you eating? And actually, I think, Liz, you were the first person to talk to, like, make a comment about looking at added sugars in foods, because I thought I was eating all these healthy foods, and then you look at the label and there's 22 grams of added sugar in the stuff. Like, it just creeps in all over the place.
I'll throw the numbers out there so that you can all, like, keep this at front of mind. It's really important, but 24 to 36 grams of added sugar every day is where you want to stay at or below. And if you're looking at labels, like, Katrina and I had this conversation at an Aldi's one day, because we were looking at the sugar content in kombucha. And while a lot of the sugar does get fermented out, the total added sugars that are on there are sugars that you're consuming. And one bottle or one serving, and sometimes one bottle is 2 servings, can have 22, 24 your full day's recommended consumption of added sugar. So boom, it's done with one drink. And that's not even like dense in calories. You're going to eat more, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Joanne, did you want to add something too? I see your hands raised.
Who?
I just have a short note to add, but mostly I have a question.
Yeah.
I was in a hormonal summit, and I'm looking at this from the other end of the spectrum, like the menopause side of things. And they spoke really, the doctors, and Dr. Christian Northrup was one of them. They advocated for wearing a 24-hour sugar monitor, because they were saying, even if you don't eat anything that has added sugars, fruits, and like you may have a spike in sugar from a red pepper that somebody else doesn't. And so of course it's very individualized. But what I just want to share, which I keep spouting and hold to, is that one of the doctors was asked, what are the side effects of menopause? And she said there should only be one: loss of menses. That's it. That's all. That's the only side effect that we're really truly meant to have when we go through menopause. But that's just an aside note. When I looked at this MetaPWR, when I first saw it, I don't know when it came out, but I wanted to try it. And I also looked at that whole spectrum of all those products, and I was like, I just wanted to start with what I knew I would do. So I started with the powder. Yep. That I could use. Like, I don't chew gum, so I'm curious about like the spectrum of products, and how do you start with it? I committed to 1 month. I never feel a change in anything I do. So sometimes I just do things because I trust that it's working. But I also questioned, like, should I be doing like pairing it to get
So let's talk about like the breakdown of all of that. One thing I wanted to piggyback of the blood sugar monitor, and actually, Liz, if you don't mind, or the glucose monitor, because Liz did actually, when MetaPWR came out, she did this to see the difference. So Liz, I don't know if you wanted to chime in and share.
Sure. I did a continuous glucose monitor. It was called NutriSense, and it's basically the same sensor that you can get from your doctor. So if you have a doctor who is very supportive and open-minded, and you don't need it because you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, they may prescribe it for you, so you can get your insurance covering it. But it was really neat. It connects right to your phone, and it shows you a graph of your blood sugar throughout the day. As long as you're scanning it like every 8 hours, you get a full read. So I learned that I have really strong spikes to rice, which is often something that we swap in place of pasta, because we're wanting to like not have gluten, and it seems like a healthier option. For me personally, my blood sugar spiked like crazy with it. And then I did learn, so like Katrina's going to talk about the different products. There's MetaPWR Assist, which has berberine and mulberry leaf in it. And that's been used for centuries for blood sugar management in Asian culture and Indian culture. And I found that it does actually plateau the spike. So like if you take it at the right time, you're supposed to take it 30 minutes prior to a carb heavy meal or snack or what have you. And I did find that it would plateau. There'd be an initial spike, and it would sort of level out. I have a hard time remembering to take it 30 minutes before I make a bad decision. So it's not always like foolproof, but it is really, really helpful. But it was neat. I also got really into her name is, I'm not gonna pronounce it, but Jessie, INCHAUSPE, Glucose Revolution. And I learned a lot from her about how to manage your blood sugar spikes. And one of the cool things she does is she does like she calls it a green starter, where you would have like a high fiber vegetable or salad before eating your carbs. And it just, for the way we digest things, it slows down the absorption of sugar into our bloodstream. And it totally, like, completely naturally can balance that out for you. But again, that's also hard to remember, is make sure you eat a salad before you eat anything else. So, but yeah, it was really, really cool, really eye-opening. And I like to be my own guinea pig. So it was really neat to see the different foods. You're right. It's bio-individual. Like, it's going to be different for everybody. Potatoes might not be a big deal for some person, but can make it go off the charts for others. So if you ever have an opportunity to do it, even if you just do it for a month, it's cool to learn about your own body. Like your doctor doesn't know these things. They don't have that. They're not that tapped into your blood sugar or your biomarkers, because it's blood work when they do it is a snapshot in a moment of time. So I highly encourage it, even if it's just for a month. Just
well, that was the other question I had about the MetaPWR too, is like, is there a timing element? Like I was just using the powder whenever I would remember to do it during the day. It was inconsistent.
Right. All right. So let's dive into all of that part now. This is great conversation, and I am extremely grateful that thank you. This is like filling my cup so much that we're having all these good conversations to start off the morning. All right. So this, I just, to kind of shift into talking about making this an easy habit and making it easier to be proactive, because I think that's like the thing, at least that I found. And then I've had people say to me is like, okay, when do I take everything? And this feels like it can be a little bit confusing. So this is my suggestion. Actually, Brittany, I don't know if she's still on or not, but she had found these on Amazon, and it's it's a pill container, but it's a supplement container for me, and it gives like a sunshine and a moon. And so then I actually got one of these. There was 4 in the pack, and so every 2 weeks I just line up my supplements. But so those are handy. And then I have a jar with the little collagen sachets right next to the kitchen sink, and then the oils that I use in my water right next to that too. So I just think that if we can set up a little station so that it feels easier, then we stick with the habit. So I just wanted to share that, because that was a helpful thing to add in. And then in these, I do my lifelong vitality, the MetaPWR, and then a probiotic with that as well. Okay, so let's dive into the different parts. So the first one is the advantage. And I think this is what people like when people pick and choose something, it's very commonly choosing to add this one in. So advantage is collagen, which collagen is this is interesting. We could probably have a whole call just specific to collagen, but typically when we get collagen over the counter, there's different types of collagen, and I'm not very well versed. So again, go on that training.doterra.com and learn about it. But typically there's just a couple of kinds of collagen in over-the-counter collagen sources. Whereas with the doTERRA's advantage, I think if I remember correctly, it's 12 different types of collagen. Does anybody know that number right off, Liz?
I think it's 9. I think it's 9.
Okay, thank you.
But to your point, most like store-bought or other brands, they have only 1 or 2 types of collagen, and they're very like specific to like hair or like skin, but this is 9, so it covers a whole spectrum of your body.
Yeah, so that's cool. And then there's the NMN in this. So I have heard people take it, the advantage, everyone has their own preference, but for me, I drink it when I break my fast. So whatever time I have my breakfast, I drink the MetaPWR. Is that what everyone else is doing, or has anybody found anything different? That's what you're all doing? Okay.
I usually do that, and then there's times when I forget and I'll have it just later in the day. But I think there's a benefit to having it on an empty stomach. The other time I'll have it too is if I've had like a glass of wine, and I just know that it might make me feel a little funny the next day, and it helps to replenish those stores. But that's the other thing, like the older you get, the the more resistant your body is to things like alcohol, because we don't have the ability to reproduce our cells as quickly. We're not spring chickens anymore. So this helps with that sort of thing too.
I love that you brought that up, because I also do the same thing. If I have alcohol, I'll take 2 MetaPWR advantages that day.
I'll have one like
one
that night,
and then one before bed.
Yeah, I'll double my dose for it. Yeah.
Yep.
And it might even just be psychologically, like, I know I'm doing damage, so I'm going to try to repair all my cells.
I don't think so, because I've been experiencing inflammation in my toes, which is a whole nother thing. But if I drink alcohol, and when I take advantage before I go to bed, I don't have that as like a response to alcohol. But alcohol is rough on the body.
So rough.
Anyone have anything else that you want to add around the advantage conversation?
I like to squeeze a lemon in it sometimes, or even just do like a couple drops of lime or lemon oil with it. Makes it really yummy.
This guy's putting in the oil with that. That's one thing that I think, okay, I want to talk about a very candid response on the opposite side. So sometimes when people start taking the advantage, for me, I had nausea and felt like garbage for about 10 days. So I want to share that because that's very real. And if I think like, in my case, I felt a little bit like that was an isolated experience that no one else was having. And I thankfully had read someone else saying that they had the same thing. And then day 10, all of a sudden for me, it was like, oh, there's the energy that everybody's talking about. There's less bloating. Like then I started to see it. But for the first 10 days, I felt like I was losing my mind. And then I told that to my sister-in-law who just started last month, and she texted me. She's like, oh my gosh, you're right on point. Day 10 is like the magic number, because she had thought about quitting it because she wasn't feeling great with it. And that's not everyone. Like my kid's music teacher is taking it, and she said that on day 1, she all of a sudden, like, she already noticed the surge of energy and was blown away at how different she felt. So I think it can be either way for people, but I wanted to be very open and honest that for some people that is. But then after day 10, I feel great now and I love it. Like if I forget to take MetaPWR, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go take it. Like it's easy to remember the routine because I feel it.
And Katrina, do you do the oil? Do you add the oil, or is there a point to this, or is it just
so the oil? Okay, so let's go to the. I think people add the oil for the taste factor, but let's talk about each of these. So there's the gum, the beadlets, the soft gel, and the oil. They are all essentially the same thing. So if you were, I think it's cool to start with the whole kit to see like, okay, what am I actually going to take and what am I not going to take? But so they all do the same thing essentially. So the soft gels. Okay. So now we're going to talk about one other factor. The oil helps the body to metabolize fats in the cells. Like it, from my understanding, is like a shrinking of the fat in the cells. I don't fully understand how fat and cells works. Liz, do you have the science?
I mean, I have just the words that doTERRA's use. So, and I find this really interesting. So that's what I like to share. The amount of fat cells that we have in our body will remain the same from birth to death, give or take, whatever, a little bit. But what determines our body's shape is how large those fat cells become. So the grapefruit oil in MetaPWR allows our fat cells to actually shrink and excrete some of that excess fat that's being stored in our fat cells. So we're not killing fat cells. We're actually just like making them smaller so they can't hold on to quite as much adipose. So that's kind of neat, right? Like it's not, I don't know. I like to think of it that way. It's just like if you imagine a balloon with less air in it, that's kind of what is happening with the oil.
Thank you. So I like to take the most consistent of this that I think everyone can benefit from is these soft gels. So I personally I take 2 in the morning and 2 at night. I think on the bottle, it says take 1 3 times a day. I just like 2 in the morning and 2 at night. And I have a harder time remembering to take supplements at lunchtime. So that's just what works for me. But that is a great option for what Liz was just describing with the fat.
But that's not all though. And I take it in the morning, at night as well. And I more so take it for cravings.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm less concerned about the size of my fat cells. I'm more concerned about my blood sugar dysregulation, which is something like I definitely have a testimony about that and how my body changed. And I know that it was blood sugar dysregulation, but that's why I take it. And it helps with cravings and not having I suffer from being hangry. So like, your blood sugar drops and then you like do anything just to have a snack. But that relieves some of that aspect.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that. And that's what I was just going to say is what I also like with so then when I use the oil is to that hangry aspect. I know for me at like 4:30, that's my hangry time. And so I like to add the MetaPWR into my water to help out with that. So this is if you're thinking of this is the fat cells, like what Liz was describing, any of these, and also additionally, the oils that are in the MetaPWR blend help with regulating blood sugar. And I believe cinnamon is one of them that's in there, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of holistic practitioners that have patients that are diabetic will use. That's very much not a compliant thing that I just said. Dang it. But they'll use cinnamon in there with their patients. So it's just it's cool.
It's okay. You said doctors will use cinnamon with their patients. You didn't say anything about having patients. So
that's cool.
In saying that you're taking the soft gels in the morning, are you doing it before breakfast? Because that's what Dennis and I have been doing as our routine. We get up before I walk. I get up and I take the soft gels. And then I come back in and I do the Advantage just before we eat breakfast. We've been doing the Assist at night before our big meal. Not so much that we eat a lot of carbs. That's just our largest meal of the day. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said too, the MetaPWR oil I've used in my water. I just automatically put it in the morning because I have my 32-ounce thing of water that I take to work. So, but that's the routine we were using. Is that what you were doing as well?
Yep. That's exactly what. So all of my supplements I take when I wake up and have a glass of lemon water, and I take them then. And then I personally try to do more intermittent fasting. So I try to wait a little bit. And so then I take the Advantage a little bit later in the morning. Yeah.
I have a question. It says 90 soft gels to a container, and you take 4 a day.
So so I go through a little bit more than a bottle a month. So that's where if you wanted to follow so that lasts a month, you'd only take 3. So maybe 1 in the morning, 2 at night, or 1 at each. I think on the bottle it says, and doTERRA's suggestion is to take 1 3 times a day.
I have another question. If you wanted to stick to your protocol, I mean, your what you do, could you supplement the end of the month with a capsule with MetaPWR oil in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. If anybody wants to snapshot this, we're going to go back in slides, but this might be easier to take a little screenshot so that it keeps it organized in all of our brains. I guess maybe that should have gone on there first, but so this just kind of gives like an example of what it can look like. So let's go back to, so this, we've already kind of talked about this, which is nice. This is just an image of glucose response that I just found on Google. This is irrelevant to MetaPWR as far as like, this isn't any of the research that they show on the doTERRA website, or the training about the Assist. But I wanted to show this because MetaPWR Assist is essentially helping with that glucose response. So this is the one that you would take before your the meal that you have the most sugar in, essentially. So if you tend to have foods that have maybe more carbohydrates or more sugar during the day, or maybe if you're going to have a lot of candy or something, you could also take it at that point in time. But how they describe it is take it before your largest meal. But I think that kind of needs to get untethered a little bit to look at it as you're taking it before you're getting your body to spike its sugar. So that's the Assist. So that would be, they say 30 minutes before, but they've now shared that even if you take it during your meal, it is still beneficial. And this is the one that Liz was talking about with the berberine and the mulberry leaf extract. So that's what that one is for.
I like to like oversimplify it. I say that it's like what it does is it turns cupcakes into cauliflower, because it turns fast burning carbs into slow burning carbs. So you can just like wave your wand and pretend you ate vegetables instead of cupcakes.
That's a fun little magic wand.
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes over the daily routine. So So to answer, I think your question, Joanne, the advantage, the collagen, which is the collagen in the morning and the soft gels. You can drink the MetaPWR oil or the gum or the beadlets throughout the day. I have the MetaPWR beadlets in my car. I feel like it's just I go grab my kids and at the end of the day from the sitter, and then I eat the beadlets on the way home so that it kind of holds me over until dinner. But you can add in the either lemon or MetaPWR oil. The thing that I like to share, and we kind of talked about hormones today, and so I wanted to share that on here as well, is that there's also the benefit of having a citrus in the body for detox. So remember, if you've heard us talk about this before, all of the chemicals that are in our environment are disrupting our hormones. It's almost like the bully on the playground. So the chemicals from air fresheners and beauty care products and laundry detergent and chemical cleaners and all of that come into our body, and they're like the bully on the playground that pushes the actual hormones around. And so the more that we can remove those toxins environmentally and in our routines, the better, the less bullies there are on the playground. But sometimes there's just bullies on the playground or chemicals in the environment, and citrus oils help to pull those out of the body so that the bully is not on the playground and our bodies, like our hormones, can do what they're intended to, which speaks to what Joanne said. We as a society have normalized women having reproductive issues. We've said like PMS and menopause being so hard. Like I've heard that over and over again. Like we've just normalized it, but it doesn't have to be like that if we can give our body what it needs to regulate. So that's another perk of consistently drinking a citrus oil in our water. And then again at night, taking the Lifelong Vitality and the soft gels. And that's where I think those little pill containers are so helpful, because then you can see, okay, did I take my supplements this morning? Did I take them tonight? Like they're Monday through Friday or Saturday through whatever, Sunday through Saturday in the pill containers. So anything on as far as the sample routine? Okay. So I'll wrap up. That was it. We can talk about anything after this if you want. And I think pretty much everyone that's on here already has a wholesale account. But if not, you can this is the starter pack, and it comes with a free wholesale account and a bottle of Adaptive, which is a great calming emotional response oil. So the way that the wholesale account works, you get a 25% off retail pricing for a year. And then after the year, when you want to renew your wholesale account, it drops down to it's $25. And then you get a free bottle of peppermint with that. So essentially it kind of waives off that part. This is the promo code that you would add in, and it will give you the free Adaptive. Now, if you wanted to add in, this is if you don't already have a wholesale account yet. If you wanted to add in some other things to your order, maybe the Lifelong Vitality Pack and a bottle of lemon or something added in, and the order gets to 200 PV, which is just point value. You'll see it when you're on the account. This month, the promotion that comes with a 200 PV order is a DigestZen oil, which is for any type of digestive upset. Think of that little jingle: nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. And then there's also, you get the soft gels for free of the DigestZen, which just helps to bypass the taste buds, and then a free diffuser. So you can use this QR code if I invited you, but if someone else invited you to this, just ask them to send you the link, and that's the promo code that you'll join in on. And then if you already do have your wholesale account, when you go in and order you can get the whole MetaPWR kit. If you're picking and choosing what you want, just take note that you can add in either Lifelong Vitality, like if you add in Lifelong Vitality Pack, one of those customized options that's available is you can add in the Advantage at a discount. So either order the Lifelong Vitality and get the collagen at a discount, or when you order collagen, there's also the customized feature that you can get a second thing of collagen. Well, actually, you could get up to 3 at a discount. So just notice that. And then the beadlets and the assist are also part of that discount. When you get the MetaPWR collagen, you can also get this assist and beadlets at a discount as well. So just kind of play around with that. And then if you already have a wholesale account this month, the 200 PV, the free Digestin, and the free Digestin soft gels will add on to your order as well. If you already did an order this month and you want to add in another one to get it to 200 PV. So let's say you already ordered 100 PV earlier this month and you want to get this now. If your order, the two orders total together, that 200 PV, then just send one, whoever added you, or, you know, whoever your person is, or send me a message and we can get you the freebies on that. So just kind of pay attention to that. What else as far as ordering it? I think that is all on that. I think everyone that's on here is already doing it through the loyalty rewards program. So you're already getting the points back. But if you're not, I would do it that way. It's just like a monthly wellness box. You can customize it. What else? Anything else on any of that would be helpful? I put on the, oh, maybe I didn't put, why isn't it moving to the next slide? Oh, there you go. This is the website. So training.doterra.com you will go to, and then when you're on training.doterra.com, it will give you all sorts of different continuing education. So there's a training on becoming an essential oil specialist. There's a training on going through the different rooms in your house and swapping out chemicals. And there's one on MetaPWR, and it's really good. And that's more of the science type stuff. I think it's really cool to listen to the science and learn about it. And my struggle is converting the science to share it with other people. So go learn right from the source. And then there's also a Facebook testimony group that if you want to read people's testimonies, we'll get you added into that. And then not specific to MetaPWR, but if you want to just keep learning more about oils, we now have Oil Camp, which will start the first Monday of March. And it's little tidbits of essential oil information. So if you haven't done Oil Camp, do it with us. It's a ton of fun. It goes 10 days and every day there's a couple minutes of different education, and there's prizes. If you complete 70% of it, you get a gift, and there's a grand prize. So that's a fun little offering as well. So that is all that I had planned to talk about. I'm looking at my location. Oh, bye, Barb. Anything else that anyone wants to share, or does anyone want to share your testimony? Liz, did you start to say you had a testimony that you wanted to share?
Yeah. And I was actually going to share it a minute ago and I was muted. I was talking to myself.
Oh,
I was like, crap. Anywho, one sign of blood sugar dysregulation is skin tags. And I have had them come up in the last couple of years. And most recently, late summer, I started to develop one on my eyelid. And it sounds super bizarre, but within a week of taking the MetaPWR products, it was almost completely undetectable. And I was scheduled to go into my dermatologist to have her cut it. So it's really, really neat. Like I wasn't sure. And Joanne, you had said that you don't typically like really feel like a response in your body when you're trying these new natural products. And I'm the same way. I'm so glad you said that, because I kind of feel I'm a little embarrassed about it, that I don't have like these mind-blowing experiences happening, and I just go by like belief. And that was really, really neat to see, because again, like I don't have like huge feelings inside my body from taking these new products, but that was visible and right on my face, and that hits home. It always does if it's on your face. So I know that it's working because I was able to witness that. That was neat.
I think that's they're subtle changes, right? Because like I thought the same thing 2 weeks in, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not happening anymore. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I've been taking my glasses on and off the whole time because my eyesight has changed and I have to go for an appointment today. And that is one of the testimonials on the page in Facebook. And it's been 5 months of taking it, so I really need to go get my eyes checked. But yeah, there are subtle changes, and I saw them in 2 weeks, and the list just keeps getting longer. So consistency is key.
That's cool.
I have a question for Liz. The glucose monitoring system. I take it that you bought one instead. The way you talked, I took it that you bought one yourself.
I wouldn't say I bought one. It's they're disposable. So there are companies out there. NutriSense is the one I use, and I can share a link with you for it. But basically, if you do a month of it, you get 2 monitors because they last 2 weeks, and they're pretty. I want to say I don't want to say harmless isn't the word I want to use, but they feel scary to put on because there's a needle and it looks really, really scary. But when you do it, you don't feel it. Although I think the first one I put on, there was a little bit of discomfort that my body just adjusted to. And then I was able to use it for the full 3 months without any issue. I don't know if it's the same for everybody. But it's almost like a subscription, to answer your question though. So I locked into 3 months for a reduced price. It's a little bit more expensive by month. And then they sent me 2 monitors every 30 days for 3 months. And then you just swap them out every 2 weeks. And then it calibrates with your phone and you're off running. Yeah.
Yeah, because my hemoglobin A1C is beautiful. It's fine. But I know that there are spikes all over the place just by the way I feel. So I'd love to, sort of keep an eye on it.
But what I was saying before is if you talk to your doctor about it, they could just prescribe you one.
Well,
and that would be nice.
Yes. I have a feeling my doctor he goes along with what I do, but you can tell he doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, I feel like we probably
to the wrong doctor.
Yeah.
Well, I think when I leave his office, he says, "Oh, there she goes again."
It's interesting this and those of you that we went to convention together, I'm going to try to say this very compliantly, but I went to my doctor. I was having really a lot of pain in my side and I wasn't sure what was going on. And I went to my doctor trying to I wanted to do blood work and whatever. And she said it was heartburn and prescribed me heartburn medicine. And I'm like, this is not, I'm like, well, if you think it's heartburn, I will change my diet and I will do I'll do it. So anyways, all that to say, I shifted when I started taking MetaPWR. My food preferences changed, which led me into completely cutting out gluten altogether. But I think the combination of not having gluten mixed with the MetaPWR, and I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other, but it significantly shifted that experience that I was having. And I just think that is, unfortunately, that's the education. And had I not chosen a different path, it would have been like, oh, go out, So anyways, I think it's nice to sometimes have other options.
Well, your pain was in your side, Katrina?
Yeah, my right on under my rib cage. I think it's my gallbladder, but
yes. And that's what I was thinking as you were talking about the digestion. I had to giggle because I had my gallbladder removed. But before that, I didn't know I was having gallbladder attacks, but I had this pressure and the digestion. After I used it, it would very often help that. So I had to laugh because if I told the doctor that, they would have said, yeah, right. But, and I didn't realize it till after that it probably was gallbladder attacks. So it's interesting. And it's just a testimonial how wonderful the oils work.
I love it. All right, I'm going to stop recording.